Amen. We just heard the parable of the sower where Jesus told us about the law of life. When we throw seeds and there's expectations of fruits. This is the law of life. You put something in and you get something back. And the readings this morning, especially the reading from St. Paul, talked about something that we hardly talk about in the church, which is money, which is tithing, which is a biblical commandment, exactly like prayer, like repentance, exactly like reading the Bible, like loving one another. It is the same expectation from God as He expects us to be His followers. And you would imagine that St. Paul, he would talk about money. No, he is a really spiritual person. He saw Christ himself. He's so busy with visions. He is so busy with teaching and important things that he shouldn't talk about money. But still, we find him in 2 Corinthians talk about that it is necessary to exhort the brethren. It is needed. It is a must to exhort, to teach, to remind people about their responsibility towards the church and their brethren. So, as you can see here, I underline it. It is necessary to exhort the brethren to go to you ahead of time and prepare your generous gift beforehand. And he said that it should be a matter of generosity, not as grudging obligation. And this is the kind of feeling we get whenever we hear talk about money, and we say, maybe, okay, here we go again. They are asking for money. But we are basically teaching about a biblical commandment exactly like prayer and serving. And he said that this is the law. He who sows sparingly, very little, will also reap sparingly. It is the law of life. You put little work, you get very little fruit. You put much work, you get more fruit and more blessings. And he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. He who sows with grace, with love, and with kindness, and with also faith, will reap back bountiful blessings. Not grudgingly, for God loves a cheerful giver. We forget that. God is expecting us to be cheerful as we come to Him and we tell Him thank you with the gifts that you already have given us. Money, church, no, we don't talk about that. Many people get defensive. Many people don't like to hear Abuna or the church is saying that, hey, we should be tithing. Because we feel that the church should be spiritual. Abuna should be busy about praying and teaching, not busy collecting money. We have this in our own self-talk. We become judges that the church is becoming very materialistic. And we can say, well, like, isn't God about giving? So God and the church should give us and should not expect us to give back. Well, it is giving or tithing. Giving, we hear that God, He gave His only begotten Son. He gave it all. But when he tells us to give, he only tells us to give what? 10%. Why? Because only God, he is the one who is able to give it all. He's not asking us to give it all, but he's asking us to bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. So 10%, we may say, okay, but I am not as rich as the other people in the church. Let them pay because they earn a lot. Well, if you think about the 10%, God is asking for a ratio, not for a dollar amount. Whatever you make is a gift from God. If you make $1 an hour, 10% is the same as you make $100 an hour. It is not about how much we give. It's about how we can come back to God and tell him, thank you. By refusing to tithe, I steal from God. From Malachi chapter 3, will a mere mortal rob God? Yet you rob me. God is speaking. But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithes and offerings. You are under a curse, your whole nation, because you are robbing me. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that will not be room enough to store it. How about if we, and this is the common complaint, regardless of how much we make, we always complain, it is not enough. It is not enough. We can barely make ends meet. And you know why? Like, one of the reasons is because the more we make, the more we buy stuff, thinking that we will be happy. And the more we make, the more capacity of our buying power, so we get more things. We get more things. So we're always chasing after this and happiness. There's a movie called The Pursuit of the Happiness by Will Smith. And it is amazing, this pursuit of happiness that we're all about, seeking that extra thing, which is maybe a second house, or a bigger house, or a promotion, or a raise, or a new car, or a second or third car, or the new iPhone. We're always chasing after this one thing. Yet, when we get it, we're happy with it for some time, and then we are back to our cycle, looking for the very next big thing, because we are never satisfied. Why? Maybe because we are robbing God. Maybe because we're not acknowledging that the true source of happiness and the true source of sustenance and satisfaction is Him, is God. It's not in my paycheck. But I'm not stealing. It is my money, right? I'm laboring for it. I have worked night and day. It is my money. Well, in Leviticus, a tithe of everything from the land, whether gain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. Think about for a minute. The first and the best 10% of whatever we make is not ours. It belongs to the Lord. So when you take it and when you withhold it, you're kind of robbing the Lord. This is how this verse came. It is a biblical commandment. It is not about how much, but it's how we put. You know the story of the poor old widow? Jesus sat opposite to the treasurer, and he saw how. So God is looking for how you are putting, not how much. By the way, nobody cares about how much. But the church and God is looking for how invested you are in your local church. Many who were rich put in much. Then one poor widow came and threw in 2 mites, which may be two pennies or 2 quarters. So he called his disciples to himself, and he said, "Assuredly, I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury. They all put out of their leftovers." Here, this word abundance means leftovers. Okay, whatever change you have, you just throw it in the basket every week. But she, out of her poverty, out of her need, when she needed the money most, she gave it all, her whole livelihood. Imagine that. Definitely, he's not asking us to give all our paycheck or our livelihood, but he's asking, how? Are you giving and you are cheerful in prayer and saying, "Thank you for allowing me, and you are granting me the health, the power, and the strength to earn my income, and here is how I trust in you." So what is tithing? It's a commandment and exercise for us to remember where our provision comes from. Take it as a reminder. When you tithe, I am reminded that my true provision is from the Lord, not from my own health and strength. If you get a cold in one day, and this cold is so bad that you call in sick, simply, you are not in control of your job. You are not in control of your income, because you're so sick you can't go to work and earn your money. So this is how little we are. The first 10% belongs to God. Whatever we gain was to be given back to God, and not only 10%, but the best 10%. So back then, when they had fruits and lands and cows and cattle, yes, they pick 10%, but they choose the best one, the best 10% that we're saying, the best is yours, because you are the best in my life, not this cattle, not this fruit. It helps us to keep our hearts from relying on something so fickle that will just evaporate like that. Remember the verse that a person cannot worship 2 masters, either God or money. So when you give your tithe, you are saying, I worship you. I'm not worshiping my money. I'm not worshiping this 10% that I'm so concerned about that it will shatter my livelihood. I worship you, Lord. It is like just a way of saying, God, I trust you, and I know that you can do far more with this 10% than I could do with the 90%. It's an act of faith. I trust you. You can do more with this 10% better and more than I with this 90% that I'm so now concerned about it. We have this on our dollar bills. In God we trust. And I read the history. It was, I first started like after the Civil War, and I believe President Eisenhower introduced it to Congress. Why? As a sign that our economic prosperity as a nation does not depend on this bill, but it depends on the God whom we have our trust in. And it is a reminder. Back then, they dealt with cash. So every time you receive or you give out a dollar bill, you should be reminded that, yes, in God we trust. When I receive my paycheck, I see that I trust in God, who is giving me the health and the strength to earn my money. Thank you, Lord. I don't trust in this green banknote, but I trust in God, who gives me the strength. Why do we tithe? That He is our real provider, because when we give, we get to support the mission of the Lord in the world and the church, and we see people's life changing, our kids' life changing. Sometimes we think that, well, the church has to take care of our kids, teach them the faith, keeps them busy. Okay, how can we do that? By you doing the least, which is tithing. When we refuse to tithe, we say that we don't trust you, God, with this part of our lives. You know what? This 10%, I don't trust you with. Think about it. When you keep everything for yourself, for whatever reasons you feel right in your head, it is saying that I don't trust you with this little, although you give me that much, but I don't trust you with this 10%. He who is faithful is in what is least is faithful also in much. He who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. How come you expect God to bless you more and more and more when you don't trust Him with that little? Does it make sense? How come? We ask God for blessings, for health, for prosperity, for better job, better income. We ask God all this, but our hands are so tight behind our backs and we are not even letting go of this 10%. It's not fair. It's not fair. The real question shouldn't be why tithing, but why not? Think about it. Why not? We have many reasons. I came up with few because of experience, because of observation all these years. And the first one is that, can you read it? We love money. We love money. Nobody hates money. We want to keep our treasures because just in case. I'm looking at retirement. I'm looking at many options, and I want to keep my money. So why not tithing? Yes, because we love money. I love even the 1%, not 10%. I love the 0.001%, not the 10%. I love money. So maybe tithing is a way for you to break that curse, that servitude, being bonded with this love of this material thing. Another one, we think we are entitled to every penny we earn. It's my work, it is my money. no one has the right to ask me for anything. And God, malish, later. When I make more, I may give some later, not now. And we all know that later never comes because it is a habit now. I just don't give. And I'm counting on other people who are giving. But me, I'm entitled. I only receive. We falsely assume that the church is financially stable when we don't talk about money. Because, hey, the church should be spiritual, right? Abuna shouldn't be busy talking about money. He should preach, he should visit people, he should serve. Now here we go again. Hey, church is running, we come every week, there is no crisis, lights are on, the heat is working, we're comfortable, we are warm, therefore there is no need. Everything is good. Let the other people who earn more money, let them take care of the church. But poor me, I can't. It is not me. Let the few pay the bills. And this is like such a selfish idea, especially we have it here in America. When we are so focused about certain jobs and certain people who are working these jobs, and let them carry the church. Doesn't Abuna like them? Doesn't Abuna just talks with them? Let them take care of the church. And this is like such a naive, a shallow, self-centered idea. And it is a wrong assumption. You know what? I send my mind to Egypt. Egypt is needed. I know this little church in that village in Said. I know this monastery that they really need my money, and I'm sending it. Because here, you don't need it. Well, I will tell you something. The churches in Egypt, they have more money than they can contain in the whole church. And it is not about who has more money. It's about your responsibility towards your local church. Yes, if you have a cause that you are donating for, if you are supporting a church in Egypt, fine. But do not forget your local church where you come every week and you accept the church to be opened. The heat is on, lights are on. You expect your free cup of coffee and maybe a sandwich. صح برضه. I know. Okay. And you just come and you receive everything for free. Why? Because I send my mind to Egypt. Or let the other people pay for my cup of coffee. Really? Really? Well, I'm a student and still have my loans, and when I have a job, when I pay off my loans. But again, from my experience, when never comes, because it is a habit that you have an excuse for everything. If you can afford a Dunkin' Donut, a Starbucks, or a Panera after church, or every other day, you can simply afford the price of a cup of coffee or macchiato to give to your local church. You simply can do that, even if you have loans. We all have loans, right? We all have mortgages and student loans. But we go on vacations, we go to Starbucks, we go to Panera, we go to a restaurant once or twice a week at least, and we just pay without thinking. But when it comes to tithing, which is a biblical commandment, I have my reasons, I have my loans. And again, we feel entitled to receive services from the church, from my local church, without me offering anything. And then I blame the church for not doing this. I blame the church for not doing that. So what is your part? So think about it, why not? In Luke 6, give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be put into your bosom. So back then, when you buy maybe a bag of wheat or barley or like any seed, you buy seeds for maybe $10. So the person puts your seed into this bag, but then it is not enough. This person, out of his own abundance, he press it down, shake it together, and running it over, and then he puts it into your bosom. Carry your bag of seeds. And this is how God's blessings and grace is being given to you. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. If you give with like such a little, you will reap little. If you give and you shake it down, you press it, and you top it over, you will receive also more and more and more. In the book of Proverbs, there is one who scatters, yet increases more. The more you scatter, the more you give out, you give away, the more you increase. And there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. See, this is the law of God. The more you withhold, the more poverty and poor you will be. And the more you scatter with love and grace and trust and faith, the more you will gather. Because God, بالعربي كده بنقولها ربنا عمره ما بيبات ايه مديون. يعني ايه بالانجلش بقى؟ God never leaves himself in debt to you. God is never in debt to you. He can't. It is not his nature. So, are you going to trust God, or are you going to trust this green piece of paper? This is the question. Who do you trust? It's not how much you give. It's about who do you trust with your life, with your resources, with your future, with your retirement, with your cup of coffee every day. Who do you trust? When you tithe in love, in faith, God will multiply the remaining 90% more and more and more than you can imagine. But it is not that I am giving and I'm expecting to receive back. No, I am giving and just saying, thank you. You gave me the health to live another day earning my money. And as a result, God will bless you in everything you do. Of course, giving is not only about money. Giving is about time, about energy, about everything you have and everything you are. But it is a biblical commandment that we tithe our resources. Because we say, we love you more than we love money. You are our master, and money is not my master. I serve you, I don't serve my paycheck. I love you, I don't love my 401k. I trust you with my future, and because of that, I'm saying thank you. From your hand, I give you. من يدك أعطيناك. I know it hasn't been a comfortable sermon because we never talk about this in the church, God forbids, but it is a commandment, it's a need, and after the Mass, I ask you please to remain because there is important announcements relating to this topic. So think about it in this manner. If you come here this morning, how are you going to say thank you in a practical way that will keep the church doors open? How I will respect myself and not depending on other people who are paying the bills, like this wrong assumption? How can I have some self-respect to come and have my share in the work of God? It is a biblical commandment. I hope that we will stay with it and we will follow it. To Him is glory forever. Amen.